Immigration's back in the news. The story may not be new, but perhaps my take on the situation is. So, with that, let's get on to today's episode of The Rundown. Hello and welcome to The Rundown, a political show with all today's breaking news and my top-notch takes. I'm your host, Skylar Budman, and as I said, immigration is back in the news again. Now, this is a story probably a little bit different than what we're typically used to hearing. Right now, we are hearing about an influx of immigrants from Haiti. Now, the exact number isn't known, but estimates say that there are over 12,000 Haitian immigrants who are currently camped out in Texas. Now, the administration hasn't been doing very much about this. They're starting to assemble flights sending these Haitian immigrants back to Haiti. Obviously, this has become a topic of political controversy. And should it really be? Just over the Rio Grande River, right near the border between Mexico and Texas, these 12,000 Haitian immigrants are currently stationed. A video from Al Jazeera was released today, which has caused a lot of concern on part of certain people. It depicted a border agent who was corralling these Haitian immigrants, trying to push them back towards Mexico as they were in the Rio Grande River. He was charging near them with his horse and essentially herding them back towards Mexico. Now, Jen Psaki was asked about this video during a White House press conference, and as you can imagine, during an era where law enforcement can do no right and criminals can do no wrong, and in fact, somebody who comes into the country illegally is a criminal, Jen Psaki spoke out against the Border Patrol agent's actions. Now, I saw the video. The Border Patrol agent does seem aggressive, but is aggressive necessarily cause for concern when we're talking about defending the borders? I don't know. I've linked the video so you can make your own decision about this Border Patrol agent's actions. From what I saw in the video, it really didn't seem like the Border Patrol agent did anything all that violent. We're talking about an influx of over 12,000 people who are trying to come into this country, and it's apparently during a time when we are dealing with a very serious pandemic, or so we've been told, and led to believe for the past 18 or so months. I think we're probably nearing maybe 19, 20 months. We've been hearing how dangerous the COVID-19 pandemic is. So one might think during a time when we have a highly, highly contagious virus circulating in the country, we should probably discourage people from coming into the country. We have children who are still wearing masks. We're told that this is the right thing for them to do. We have people who are still unvaccinated, and until those people are vaccinated, we're being told that society ought to remain restricted and shut down. And even those individuals who are vaccinated are being instructed to be very careful in the way that they handle themselves. In certain areas of the country, you are still advised to, and in some instances, not permitted to go out in public locations, closed areas, without a mask, though some people may not exactly be following those rules. So what's going on with this new Haitian immigration crisis? Well, some of the information might actually shock you. Some of the information might not come as much of a surprise. Obviously, over the past couple of months, you've probably heard about the situation in Haiti. Haiti is an area that tends to be riddled with natural disasters, also political instability, and major governance problems. Their president was assassinated just a couple of months ago, and more recently they experienced a 7.2 magnitude earthquake. Very serious. Haiti's this country with a population of about 11 million, a little over 11 million people as of 2019, and not shockingly, the people of Haiti, they don't want to remain in their country. they want to come to the United States of America. They're seeking political asylum. So you hear the term about political asylum very often. I'm going to tell you exactly what political asylum is, because there's no point in discussing it if we don't understand exactly what it is. According to the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, the USCIS, you may seek asylum if, and here are the categories: you are suffering persecution due to race, religion, nationality, membership to a particular social group, or a political opinion. These are the criteria that you need to fit. Now, people coming from Haiti, I don't want to speak inappropriately on the subject. Perhaps they are seeking asylum due to persecution from one of these categories. It doesn't sound like that is actually the case, though. Al Jazeera went on to interview some of these Haitian asylum seekers. Many of them explained that Haiti has a pretty rough economy. It's very dangerous there, and there are very few opportunities for education and advancement in Haiti. And as such, these people want to come to the United States of America. Now, obviously, their pleas are emotional. They are something that we should take seriously. And it's not something that we should necessarily discredit with cold-heartedness. Just to say that immigrants or illegal immigrants shouldn't be allowed because we want to maintain the sanctity of the nation, it's a little bit too dismissive. But there's a more real question. In a country with 11 million people, let's say we take in all 12,000 of these asylum seekers. Is that fair? Is that fair to those people who are unable to make the journey or unwilling to make the journey? Is it fair that we reward people if they come to our border and they want to come into our country? Is it ideal that we don't solidify our borders and we do not establish ourselves with as a nation with strict criteria for who may enter and when these people may enter? Is it just that if you come knocking on the door, the United States will let you in? Now, to the credit of the Biden administration, they have been sending Haitian asylum seekers back to Haiti. It actually has been the case that a few thousand people have been sent back, not from this current group of 12,000, but people have been sent back, and they've been being sent back based on Title 42. Now, Title 42 is a Trump-era immigration policy that was invoked on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. What does Title 42 state? I have the full text. I will actually link the full text in the description, but just the essence of it is when there is a health crisis, the president and the surgeon general collaboratively can make a decision that they will not allow people to seek asylum on sheer fact that they want to preserve the health and wellness of the citizens, the lawful citizens of the nation. Now, Biden has been using this, and a lot of people have spoken out about Title 42, saying that it is inhumane, it's terrible, and it's not based in science. So I wanted to go through a few of these legitimate concerns because in this brief episode, I want to give you just an idea of some things that you should be aware of in terms of the discussion surrounding this immigration crisis. And then we'll do a quick recap just at the end to make sure that you get through this and you leave the video just with a couple different tidbits of information for you to consider, or for you to at least know, so that you have a full idea of the situation and the full comprehension in order to make some decisions. Title 42 has been said just recently, last week. Judge Emmett Sullivan ruled against Title 42. He's a federal judge out of Washington, D.C., saying, quote, regards to COVID-19 and handling it, in view of the wide availability of testing, vaccines, and other minimization measures, the spread of COVID-19 should not be of concern. Now, this obviously goes against what we've been led to believe. Another city councilman out of North Miami has said deportations should be stopped. And we also have somebody, this gentleman by the name of Steve. Let's see if we have Steve's full name here. Steve Forrester, and he's with a human rights group. He called this is specifically a human rights group that deals in immigration policy with the U.S. Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti. He called Title 42 unconscionable. He said, quote, "There's no way Haiti can handle the people that are in Haiti now, given the conditions there, and it can't provide for these people," referring to the 12,000 people. Now, just to contextualize this, Steve Forrester, he's not exactly a middle-of-the-road guy. He's a bit of a precarious character, I would say. In July of 2020, he actually attempted to make the argument that the problem with deportation is that the United States would be exporting COVID to Haiti. July 2020, obviously, according to the Haitian government's own website, the first case of COVID was in Haiti in March of 2020. So if I'm not mistaken, March comes before July. I don't know how the United States could be exporting COVID from individuals who are coming to the United States seeking entry into the country, whether it be by means of asylum or otherwise, perhaps illegal entry, being sent back home. That would be akin to the United States spreading COVID, exporting COVID are his words. Very strong, very interesting. But the real question comes down to, is this the United States' responsibility? Now, I take the position that it most certainly doesn't make sense that the United States attempt to assist these few people while disregarding the rest of the nation. Of course, people want to pretend as though letting these 12,000 people into the country poses absolutely no problems at all. That's despite the 8.4 million people who are still unemployed in our country that we know of. That's despite the 40 million people in our country who are living in poverty. We still want to continue to import more individuals. I don't see how that could possibly remedy the problems that we as a nation already face. This isn't to say that we should be against immigration altogether, but rather we might want to consider what exactly we are doing. By bringing in additional people, not only are we not helping our own people, but we're also making a very, very, very minute impact in a major problem. We're leaving behind, even if we took in 1 million people from Haiti, we're leaving behind 10 million people who will not be able to benefit from the same advantages that a Haitian immigrant to the United States would garner from receiving citizenship or permission to enter our nation. So the question ought to be broader. It ought to be a question of what we can do. Of course, we're throwing money at the problem, and certainly what could go wrong when you have a nation that is known for political instability, corruption. The best solution is obviously to throw more money at the problem, and that's what the United States tends to do. But perhaps we need to take a more nuanced approach. We talk about immigration, and we have those individuals who are largely against it, perhaps for some of the reasons I laid out, and then we have those individuals who feel as though immigration should be unfettered. Individuals should be able to enter the United States for whatever reason, whenever they want. Obviously, that doesn't make any logical sense. Who are these 12,000 people? Are they people who want to uphold our nation's identity? Are they people who even believe in what America has to offer, what America stands for? And furthermore, do we even have a population comprised of people who believe in what America stands for, or at least what it stood for? These are all things that I think need to be seriously considered. We obviously have a lot of problems that we need to solve at home. In addition to that, do we need to be taking in more and more people, helping them as well, and giving them the benefits that they see out of our nation? Perhaps some of these people coming here might have a lesson or two to teach some people who are rather ungrateful about their citizenship in this country. Anyway, I'll leave you with that thought. thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, comment, share it around, and I'll be back soon with the next installment of The Rundown. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.